Hi, I'm Jake, aka TheBreakfast, with AYBOnline. I'm here with Koriel from White Lotus Games, who's developing Xing, The Land Beyond. Now, Koriel, why don't you tell us a little bit about The Land Beyond?
All right. So Xing is a first-person puzzle adventure game. We have it right now for the PC and Oculus Rift.
Right on. Okay, so what can you tell me about like the different types of things you'll be doing while playing the game?
Sure. So actually, in the game, you start off and you're dead, and you're traveling through the afterlife.
Right
Uh,
on.
the goal is to try to figure out who you are, why you're there, and then what you must ultimately do. Puzzles are environment based, so we have puzzles that include time of day or rain or snow, and you're able to manipulate your environment in order to change the way you solve puzzles.
So what can you tell me about sort of the inspirations? What kind of like areas did you draw inspiration from in terms of the art and in terms of the actual game design itself?
All right. So as far as game design goes, we looked at games like Portal and the Zelda series, those kinds of things that we just really enjoy. A lot of people come up to our booth and they look at it and they're like, "Oh, that looks a little bit like Myst." And it is a puzzle adventure game, and people really did love that game, and it's awesome. So we're happy to hear that. As far as like our look is concerned, I mean, to be honest, uh, we all really like fantasy stuff, and we like movies and TV shows and whatnot. So we just basically try to make what we like. And uh, as far as like architecture and maybe places go, we just Google image search. We're like, oh, you know what? It'd be really cool to get like this awesome temple, and let's see if we can put that in the game, and maybe that fits. And so we just Google image search and find cool stuff.
Have you ever like maybe gone and done the Google Maps? And they have an Oculus app now where you can actually like look at Google Maps and look at famous landmarks. Do you ever do kind of stuff like that for inspiration or anything like that?
I mean, we've definitely traveled around the world with maps, and I mean, just lots of different photos. We just try to piece together like what would look really good in this area, what makes sense for the characters, and I mean, as long as it looks really cool and we really like it, we're hoping that other people will like it too.
So I know that there's very distinct environments in Zing. There's I believe there's four separate environments, correct? Yeah. Okay. So did each of those have different inspirations? Was there like a specific kind of aesthetic you were looking for? Anything like that?
Yeah, so I mean, your first level is actually on a beach, so it's a tropical beach, and it's a lot of just Neolithic, like stone architecture, very basic. The next level is actually in a rainforest, and that one's very Mayan and Aztec inspired. We have, a couple others that were just trying to like be inspired by cultures from around the world, but then also add our own elements in.
Do those different environments and those different ideas kind of play into the puzzles a little bit, or
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, our puzzles are very much based on the environment they're in. So, like for example, in the rainforest, you get rain, and when there's like a chasm or something and you have to cross it, you can just order the rain to turn on, and what that will do is that might fill up. The crevice or something like that, and you'll be able to kind of hop across. I mean, just simple things like that, but then they're all kind of interconnected. And what that does is that creates for like really interesting puzzle mechanics.
you've been demoing the Oculus, and usually Oculus demos are incredibly popular at PAX. I saw your lineup. There was like probably about 40 people lined up. How has it been demoing an Oculus game at PAX? Like, how's everybody's individual experiences? How do you contend with like the different levels of motion sickness that people get and things like that?
All right. Well, I mean, one, it's really great. So we get to be a lot of people's first Oculus Rift experience, and that's always fun because then you get to hear like, "Oh, that was really cool," and we got to see all these different things, and I felt like I was there, and so it's nice to be able to witness that kind of stuff. Um, let's see. I mean, we try to make sure that the line is like safely against the wall so that our enforcers don't get mad at us.
Fire code.
Exactly. And then as far as demoing it, I mean, we have people who are always making sure that everyone's like comfortable. What we do is, I mean, we put the Rift on people's heads and we take it off, so someone always has to be there. They can't just like walk up and put it on themselves. So it's very like organized.
Okay, so what sort of things are you building into the game design to help limit sort of motion sickness? Is there any kind of like creative solution that you guys have found for that?
It's not necessarily something that we've found. I mean, we have the player move at a certain speed, which kind of helps. So, I mean, a lot of fast motion it generally isn't good. But it's okay because our game is, there's no time limit or anything. There's no enemies that are coming to get you. So, you're fine on that. And we actually use this system called it's called Comfort Mode. It was designed by Cloudhead Games initially, and what it is you press the right and left bumpers to look like it does a quick turn, like 22.5 degrees, I believe, so that you can just make a full 360. And what that does is it combats that sort of motion sickness that sometimes people get. So instead of using this like the smooth joystick, like imagine your body just kind of doing this and then your head doing this, your inner ear is probably not going to feel that great. So that system seems to work pretty well because I'm one of those people that actually gets motion sim sickness, and it works for me. So
That's great. I am really glad to hear that because I get really, really bad VR sickness. I bought a DK2 and it's like, ooh. So that's really good to hear. What are the different challenges of working with the Oculus Rift in terms of scale? And are there any puzzles that are specifically designed for the Oculus Rift, or is it the same experience with or without the Rift?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's the same experience, but I mean, you are playing the same game. All the puzzles are designed with the Rift in mind, as is the scale. I mean, everything that we do, we have to try to make sure it looks really great just on a standard monitor, but also really great in VR. So that we try to take all of that into account when we're designing all the levels.
Okay, that's awesome. And you guys are also one of the earliest Unreal Engine 4 games that I've seen personally. So what can you tell me about working with the Unreal Engine 4?
We love it. So I mean, it's such a great engine to use. So and Epic Games is like the whole company. Everyone we've met from there has just been really nice and supportive, and we love using their engine, and they're constantly updating it right now. So if there's ever like an issue or something that we run into, we can just post on the message boards, and generally someone from the community or someone from Epic will get back to us and just say like, here, this is the solution, and I mean, we have a great time using it, and it makes our game look really pretty. So
Yeah, that it does. That it does. Well, I think that's just about all the questions that I had personally. But is there anything that I haven't asked that you would like to tell people about Xing?
Something that you haven't asked. Let's see. Well, something cool about making the game, just personally from our story, was we actually started out as a classroom project. Oh, really? So yeah, we started this, and it was like a level that we had to design in like a week, and then turn it into our professor. And we ended up doing that, and he said, "This is really cool. If you enter this into this game sort of competition, like a college one, and you get into the top 10, you can have an A in the class." And we were like, well, we're going to do that because then we don't have to make all these other games and stuff. So that's what we did, and we ended up getting in there and placing second. And the people in the industry there said, this is really cool, and you should run a Kickstarter for it, and you should continue on. And at that point we were like, well, maybe we will, maybe we won't. And here we are, 2.5 years later, almost 3 actually from that point. And I mean, it's worked out really well for us, and we've just kept going with it. So.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. So is there an announced release date or any kind of window in which we can expect to be able to play Xing?
Yeah. So we're trying to launch spring 2016. So that's kind of when we feel like the VR bubble will sort of hit. And we want to make sure that we're out there at that time. I mean, you can also play the game just straight on your PC, and we know that that's mostly going to be our market. But for those people who are early adopters of VR, yeah, they're going to be able to play, which we think is going to be really cool.
Okay, that's great. Well, thank you very much for your time. And again, this has been Xing and White Lotus Games and Koriel, and thank you for watching.